Hey, this is Jackie with Metal Wani, and here I am with Kirk from CROWBAR. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. Glad to be here in the Tempe, Phoenix, Mesa area. So it should be a rocket show tonight.
So you guys are on tour right now with Night Demon, Ghoul, and Carcass. How's the tour been going so far?
Really good. All the bands are, we were talking about that the other day, all the bands are very different, but they all kick ass, and everyone's really nice. Honestly, every person in each band and everyone in the crew they're all very helpful. You know, we all help each other out. So even though we've only been on tour together for a week or something, a little over a week, it's like feels like it's all the little things are running smooth. Everyone is helping each other out, so it's a really good package.
So there's a really good bonding between everybody.
Totally. Everybody hangs out, well, I mean, not all the time, but I'm just saying, everyone socializes with each other a lot, at night, drinking beer, whatever, and just hanging out, watching all the other bands, and it's a cool scene.
Like you just did mention, the lineup is very different. You have an extreme metal band followed by sludge and so on. Would you say that this has exposed you guys to new fans?
I think it definitely has. I mean, this tour with Carcass is the biggest, as far as us being a support act. This is by far the biggest tour that we've done as a support act, attendance-wise at the shows. And I can, it's one of those things, like, I feel like it's back in the old days again, because I can tell there's a lot. Since the majority of the tours we've done about 16 tours, and 16 or 17 tours in the last 3 years, and only 2 of them were support tours. So we're so used to, it's our crowd. Yeah. But I've always enjoyed that, the challenge to win over a new fan, So it's kind of like in the beginning, if I'm scoping out the crowd, I do see a lot of people kind of just checking us out, not being haters or anything, but just checking us out, and then little by little you'll see them kind of getting into it. There was a guy that came to the Santa Ana show that kind of was just like this up front the whole time, like he was bored to death. Well, he came last night as well, and then he asked me for a pic, and he was up front again. He came up after and said, man, I've never seen you guys, and the show was great. So that's what it's all about. I mean, if you're going to support a band, it is about exposure. So we're getting, with Night Demon and Ghoul being kind of, especially Ghoul being a younger band kind of with the show and everything, it's a totally different crowd than what we have. And then Carcass, has an older crowd as well, because they're closer to my age, whatever, and Todd, our bass player. But so we're all around this, a lot of us are in the same same age group. But they're fans. It's a completely different style of music. But what we're talking about, and I was talking to the Carcass guys in Santa Ana the other day, and they were saying they like this, it's good, and it is. It makes for a better package than 4 bands that sound exactly the same. Yeah. So most definitely, we're getting exposure to a different audience, which to us is kind of something new, since I'm back doing CROWBAR full time for the past 3 years. I said there's only been 2 other tours where we supported. We will main support every other tour we've done in Europe or in the United States. We've always been the headliner. So, but it's great. It's a good feeling, and it kind of, it's kind of like, we kick ass every night. We give 110% no matter what, but it makes you even bring it up a level. Yeah. It's you want to win over new.
Leave an impression.
Exactly. Like, you might come in, know nothing about the band. You might come in and hate the band. You might come in and already be a fan. But either way, we want to impress. We want to leave an impression. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's been 2 years since the release of your album Symmetry in Black, and you guys are still touring for it. Do you feel like there's still a demand for CROWBAR to continue to tour?
Yes, because we try to keep. We've been to this venue. This is our 3rd time here but we did it in 2014, 2015, now 2016, so it's only once a year for the most part. I can't remember last time we were here, but I think this is the 3rd time we're here. But we've also had the opportunity to play a lot of markets that we haven't hit at all. Like we played Sacramento the other day, and I can't can't tell you the last time Crowbar played Sacramento. So we've hit a lot of different, spots as well. And that's the thing is you got your A markets, your A, B, C, whatever markets, and it's like we've started, because we're this far into the touring cycle of the record, which really we broke up the recording of the new record. In between, we did all the music, then went on tour, came back, I sang it, we mixed it, and then we started this tour. So I do think that there's still a demand because there's so many markets out there. And we've, on the previous headlining US tour that we did a lot of places we've never been. Smaller markets, like places in Indiana and Kentucky and whatnot.
Odd places.
And they ate it up because they don't get that many shows, so it was really great. I mean, you can't continue, to pound the same markets over and over, but there's so many markets out there that we have still not gotten to. Like at the end of this tour, we do a few four headlining shows on our way home because this tour ends in Connecticut. So we play our way back to New Orleans. We're going to be doing 2 shows in West Virginia. We played West Virginia one time in 1994, and that's it. So it's been 22 years and one time. Wow. So we're doing 2 shows, and I think it might even been different cities or a different city than the 2 that we're playing. So that's something we haven't done. And a lot of fans, thankfully, travel to shows, but a lot of people can't with the job and whatnot. So there's so many markets out there. It's that you just gotta pick and choose wisely. But I mean, and now we're on the eve of the new record coming out, so we're excited about that. So our next tour in September, we're gonna do some shows with Gwar, and then 90% of the stuff's going to be headlining, but the record's going to come out while we're on that tour, which is great. Mm-hmm. So that'll work really well, and then we'll be touring for the new record,
Yeah. So you've recently parted ways with your bassist, Jeff. You have your original bassist, Todd, back. How are things going with the new switch?
Great. I mean, T's been a friend of Tommy and I for, 30 years or whatever, or more. So, we've toured together when Tommy plays in Solid Green also. So we've done a couple of tours and a bunch of shows together, on tour together. So we've been on the road together, and Matt and Todd, Matt didn't know Todd really that much until recently, but it was just kind of weird, I'm like a firm believer everything happens for a reason. Yeah. And there's a reason that things didn't work out with Jeff. They just didn't. And we sincerely wish him absolutely nothing but the best. He's got a great gig in the band Lord Dying, which we're friends with those guys, and I'm a big fan of the band. I think they're great. I actually got up and jammed a song with them in Baton Rouge at the end of the tour. So we're super happy for him with that gig, but everything just happens for a reason. And Todd stepping back in, it just happened, and it feels great, and it's kind of like a fresh, even though it's old school, It's a fresh start in a way. Yeah. And it's really, fans are, it's 99% positive, with the switch, and it wasn't something, it was just, honestly, things just didn't work out. I always use the example, like, being in a band is like being in a relationship. You can care for someone or whatever, but it doesn't mean it's going to work out, and it just didn't work out. But, we wish him nothing but the best. So, and to answer the question, basically, Todd coming in is a breath of fresh air, and it's really worked out great. The fans love him, and it sounds great.
So like you've mentioned, you guys are going to be releasing a new album. What is the current status of it?
Well, the label just received it Friday. So we just got, I was mentioning it to you earlier, but Scott Gibbons, one of the guys that's higher up at the label, email. I woke up to his email, which was, the Kirk new album is amazing. I'm on track number 7. Some of the best work you've ever done, my friend. Can't wait to, whatever, to get this out. So that was a great thing to wake up to, start the day. So we're pumped up. The record's, it's done. We have a title, but I'm not allowed to say it yet.
Secrets.
And artwork's being worked, all that type of stuff. So everything except the artwork. I mean, the record itself, the mastered, mixed, copy, and files and all that kind of business I know nothing about, have been turned into the label, and they, so we're shooting for September 30th as a release date, and I think we were able to make the deadline to release it then, which is perfect because we'll be on tour from September 13th till October 22nd. So that'll give us, 3 weeks of touring with the record being already out, like where you can, purchase it. So that'll work out great.
So, the Symmetry album, I couldn't find a track that I didn't love. It's very simple yet brilliant. It hits harder than some of your previous albums. I'm curious to know, in what musical direction are you going with this new upcoming album?
To me, it's a fresh, old school sounding Crowbar record. Like, I mean, for me personally, I went back and started listening to older Crowbar records, songs that I forgot we even had. I mean, we have 100 and something songs, It's ones that we don't play live, and I mean, I couldn't even name you every song on every record, other than maybe Symmetry and Sever or something, because they're newer records, But I went back and listened to a lot of the older stuff, and I made a real conscious decision to listen to the bands that inspired Crowbar in the first place, that we looked up to. I've been listening to a lot of Trouble. The first Typo record, Carnivore, Melvin, stuff like that. Those were the bands, Saint Fighters. That was all a part of what created the style that we wanted our band to be, was those bands. So I listened to a lot of that stuff. So to me, especially with Sever the Wicked Hand, we brought a lot of new elements in, but especially with Symmetry, I thought we'd expanded our sound a bit. So with the new one, there are new elements, but at the same time, to me, it feels like a fresh, 2016 old school album. It's like it's more mature, writing wise to me, lyrically, whatnot. But the approach was kind of back to basics, back to the way we were in the old days, and we're just super pleased with it. It's great.
So later this November, you guys are headed to Europe to play a few shows with Overkill and a few other people. Would you say you have a lot of support in Europe?
Yes, I mean, we just finished doing a European tour before I sang the record, and it was probably the best tour, financially and as far as crowd attendance and whatever. It's one of the best tours we've ever done in Europe. It was really good, and we have a strong following over there, and it's awesome to I mean, there's pluses and minuses to headlining. Of course, you make more money being the headliner, you sell more merchandise being the headliner. But once again, being the main support for a band like Overkill, that's a legendary band that's been around for a really long time, a lot longer than us, is a great, it's an honor to be able to do it. It's also an opportunity for us to once again play in front of someone else's audience and try to win them over. And really, that's what helps you grow, I think.
Keeps it exciting.
Right, it does, because every day you're on your toes. It's a challenge. And I mean, like I was saying earlier, it's not like when it's our show, it's not like we don't give 100, everything we got, because we do. But it's like we in that situation, we want to please our fans, because everyone there is, or everyone who stays, whatever it might be, whoever's there when we hit the stage are usually our fans. So we want to please them, of course. We want to give them the best show we possibly can. But when it's not all your fans, it is a little bit more of a challenge. So, but it's one that we love, and it's a good feeling.
So Europe is very famous for having festivals. It looks like America is trying to jump on the trend now. We're seeing some new festivals kind of pop up throughout the States. What's your take on that?
I mean, if they can do it like Europe does it, I hope that it works. It's just a whole different world. I mean, literally and figuratively, it is. And the thing is a lot of these festivals have been in place for so many years, and there's new festivals popping up. And I mean, the way they do it in Europe is bands like us, like we'll have a new record out here at the end of September. So this summer coming up, we have an opportunity, or 2017, we have an opportunity to play a lot of the festivals because we haven't played them since 14, or, you know, and a few in 2015. And we did some smaller indoor festivals this year that we headlined, and it was cool. But to do the big open air thing, we'll have the opportunity. The thing is that all the bands, you know, these festivals that we played, 99% of them are basically heavy metal music, you know. And it's like, you know, I mean, I hope that America can get something going the way the Europeans do, because they really, I mean, a lot of these things are just really been around a long time, and they're run for, that was a word I was looking for. They're very organized, you know, and it's a blast, and it's really fun for us because, you know, we run into our friends from Suffocation or Obituary or Napalm Death or whoever it might be that we only see sometimes once a year. It's like everybody's older and fatter and balder and whatever, but you know, the kids are older, but it's kind of like, you know, rekindling your friendship or you know, just seeing old friends and people that you toured with 20 plus years ago, and it's cool, you know, it's a cool feeling. And you also have the opportunity to see some fantastic bands that you're a fan of. I mean, when you play, I played Hellfest with Down in 2013, and actually Kiss and ZZ Top both played as well. Same, you know, and it was like, wow, you know. I mean, it's great, you know. I mean, I got to see Black Sabbath in Austria at Nova Rock Festival. So it's you know, you get to see a lot of your idols that are headlining these big festivals, and then you get to jam in front of a huge audience, and you get to be a fan. So it's a win-win, you know. But hopefully America can do it as well as Europe does, Europe and the UK.
With time. With a lot of time.
Yeah, and it's hard too because of how big the United States is. You know, I mean, you can have a year, you know, like every summer, whatever, you know, a few different territories. But for the bands, like travel-wise and stuff, you know, it's a lot easier. You know, there's quite a few festivals just in Germany, for instance. I mean, like, you know, the UK, we did a smaller indoor festival called Desert Fest, which was a really cool thing. We played right before COC in London, and it was a really cool festival. We also did the one in Berlin. But there's, you know, in the UK, you've got Bloodstock, which is an up and rising one, which is a great one, really organized, one of my favorite festivals. And you know, of course, you've got Download, which is kind of,
it's big.
It's huge, but to me, it's almost out. You know, it's too big. I mean, it's kind of,
you miss things.
It went from Castle Donington with fucking Saxon and Maiden and all these bands, you know, to now it's commercial and it's so huge and corporate and whatnot. But it's still a great festival. But I mean, in Germany, you've got, you know, there's a shitload. You know, Wacken, of course, is a big one now. But I mean, With Full Force is a great festival. There's so many. You know, Hellfest is in France. It's a great one, and you know, it works. So hopefully we'll get it rocking here.
So you guys have been around since '89. How much would you say the metal scene has changed since you first started?
A lot. It's kind of, I don't know. Well, the thing is, the whole music industry has changed. It's done a complete, you know, 180. It's so different than it was when we were first getting rolling. But musically, I mean, it's I mean, when we started playing, it grew from, I guess you could say, like, as far as the metal community, the metal bands, it grew from what was the new wave of British heavy metal, which then turned into thrash with Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer, you know, Megadeth, with whatnot, Testament, Overkill, you know, all of that. And then it kind of grew into something else. But I mean, I've watched, since we started the band, we've watched, like, you know, grunge come and go, which it's kind of looks like it's about to start making a comeback. But we've watched like the rap metal type thing come and go. We've watched when we started out, death metal was really big. Which it's had its peaks and valleys. There's so many styles of music now. You know, like I was in Hot Topic one day and I'm listening to what's on, and I'm asking this girl, and she's a girl, you know, working behind the counter. I was a young, you know, like 17 years old or something. and I'm asking her about this band, and she was like, she goes, oh, they're screamo. And I said, is that like screaming emo? And she said, yeah. And I'm like, okay. I said, maybe I'm a little too old for it, but there's so many genres and subgenres, and it's kind of, we've watched, you know, so much of this, and we've been fortunate enough and blessed to survive it all, and still, you know, still be worth something, still mean something to the music scene. And I credit us, you know, I credit that with being the situation being that we don't fit into any genre. We never have, and I love that. It's like a band like the Melvins. Like, what do you really call them? It's just a great band. Yeah. It's heavy and it's great. You know, I mean, we've never fit into whatever was hot at the time. And, you know, like I said, there's peaks and valleys with certain genres, but we've never fit into a genre. And I think that allows us to have longevity, because we've been around. This is now like 27 years since, you know, we started writing the first Crowbar songs that ended up being on our first record. So, you know, we've been lucky enough to survive all that time. And I think that's due to the fact that we don't, I mean, they call us Sludge or whatever, but we didn't make that up. The media did. We're just Crowbar, you know.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time today and
absolutely. Thank
joining us, and good luck with the rest of the tour.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.